In December 1979, Soviet troops invaded Afghanistan and installed a pro-Soviet regime. An Afghan resistance movement formed, gained strength and was supported by the Mujahideen, who are being trained and financed by the Pakistani and then the American secret services. The civilian population in many parts of Afghanistan quickly found itself destitute. To provide them assistance, small medical teams from MSF crossed the border from Pakistan into Afghanistan and, where the warlords accepted their presence, began working in the areas held by the resistance. These teams were small and working without logistical backup, so their medical impact was minimal. But the accounts they gave of what the Red Army was doing in Afghanistan had a significant impact on public opinion in the West. As these new humanitarian troubleshooters began to return from the field, their testimony began to coalesce into a sort of ethical code of commitment and courage, placing humanitarian action firmly in the human rights circle and distancing it from the third worldism politics of traditional aid and development organizations. There then followed a rapid proliferation of private emergency relief agencies inspired by a new form of idealism. Action contre la faim and Aide Médicale Internationale were created in 1979, Médecins du Monde in 1980, and new sections of MSF were set up in Belgium, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Spain and Luxembourg. In what was called the Free World at the time, liberal regimes sought to use humanitarian action to assert moral superiority over communist regimes. At least this was the general belief, as public opinion rallied in aid of the starving populations in Ethiopia. On this map of Ethiopia, you can see where MSF carried out nutrition and hospital-based activities from 1984. It had teams working in Korum, Sokoto, Kobu, and Kolala, in close proximity to the government-controlled food distribution centers. As pictures of dying children were beamed around the world, the public response was unprecedented. In the wake of the Band-Aid movement, launched by the British singer Bob Geldof, a group of French performers came together to form Frontières Sans Frontières, raising large sums of money which they donated for the most part to MSF. Yet MSF could see that it was being manipulated by President Mengistu's pro-Soviet regime. To undermine the rebellion, it was using food aid to draw starving populations out of the rebel zones and deport them to the south of the country, to villages under government control. When aid turns against its beneficiaries in this way and enables a regime to control its population or fund its war, we call this a humanitarian trap. In the autumn, with public mobilization at an all-time high, MSF decided to put pressure on the aid agencies and speak out in public, after which MSF was promptly expelled from Ethiopia. This was the first humanitarian dilemma for the NGO. In essence, it either continued caring for the victims and ran the risk of becoming indirect accomplices to the regime's actions, or it spoke out to decry the abuses and ran the risk of leaving the population without assistance. So what was the right choice? Medical ethics or human rights? Treatment silently or speaking out? These are obviously crucial questions, as in theory, humanitarian aid is meant to reconcile all these issues.